when you engage with God, let God take the lead. As far as going deeper into Him, let Him lead that as He will. You just be yourself. You approach Him as you would anyone else, but with respect. The only thing I'm adding to that at this point is for you to do it in your heart. You approach Him, the God you know, in your heart. Let that relationship be established in there, and let Him show you what it means to go deeper into Him. Most of the time, engagement with God does not have to be deep in that sense. Because God is plain and He's open. You don't have to go deep into Him to get more out of Him, because He's all that He is right there on the surface for you to see. Yes, there are deep things of God, but those are things that, well, He shows you with time. You might as well not worry about them. Because those deep things of God, usually that's having to do with how He interacts with you and what He's trying to show you about your life, things around you, the revelation of God in the world, right? But God Himself is, in a sense, a very simple being. He's very, just like you. He's not more complicated than you are. He's a spirit. You're a spirit. You have deep things in you, for example, see? But most of those deep things, the deep things in you are things you hide, right? But God doesn't hide anything. God is very close to you, and He hides nothing. And He wants you to see Him clearly. He's an open book. He's good, and He's kind, and He's loving, and He's always there, and He's always willing to help. That's God. He's not hard to know. So how do you engage with Him? It's actually very easy. As long as you keep it as easy and simple as it should be. You look to Him with the same faith you already know how to have, and then you stay in Him in your heart. The same faith that you already know Him with. That's the main thing I would add to your knowledge, is just realizing that this relationship is in your heart. So you're engaged with Him in your heart. The God who lives in there with you. God is already speaking to your heart. He's already in there. He's already having a relationship with you. He's already giving you advice. He's speaking to you right now. Look to see, you'll see what I mean, because I feel pretty certain He's going to be agreeing with what I'm saying. He might not even say anything. He might communicate it with just a look. Yes, I'm here. He does often say things without even speaking, well, because He's been there all the time. You're already very familiar with Him in your heart. You just maybe don't know that it's Him. Your heart is the center of you, and that's where He lives. He's been there as long as you've known Him. Take a look, or like Apostle Paul said, feel for Him, for He's not far from any of us. That's it. Feel for Him. He's there. Try not to feel for Him hard. Try not to believe hard to see Him. Because it's not hard. It's not supposed to be hard. Trying to believe hard to see Him, trying to feel for Him when you don't feel for Him, you trip yourself up. So simply look to Him. It can be just as simple as saying hello. God is always there for you. The only thing that stops us from accessing Him is not being aware of it. So in practice, often, God becomes available to you when you become aware that He's available to you. I actually came into life with an idea that everyone could contact and could see God the way that I could. I'm talking about as a little child. Many of us had this experience as little children, but we tend to forget it as we grow older. Things get in the way, or we discount it. Really, we are taught by this world to discount the God that we met when we were little children. But that same God is there, and you can still feel him the same way. But I came into this world as a little child, believing that everybody could see God like I could, or could contact God the way that I could, or could feel God there in the room with me the way that I could. But I found out that it wasn't true, that not everybody could do that. But I used to look at adults and really wonder, why is it that they walk around with that look on their face as if they don't even know that God's there? I found myself imagining the other day. See, I had these two men in mind. When I was in school, I remember being in preschool and being in the lunchroom and seeing these two men walk down the hall, because I would always look for God in people. I really would. Like, I really believed that very often that my teacher was connected with God because she had that nature of sweetness about her. That would be good for a preschool teacher. But I used to really wonder about why some people walked around as if they weren't aware that God was there. It didn't make sense to me when it was so obvious to me. And these two men walked down the hall one day in the lunchroom, and I remember this one big guy looking down at me like with a scowl on his face. Maybe he didn't like kids, whatever the reason, but it didn't look to me like he was aware that God was there with us as he was looking at me. Well, I got to imagining, what if I had spoken to that man that day? What if I had walked up to him and asked him my question, do you realize that God is here with us? Do you not realize that he sees what you're doing now, and that he could be a part of your life right now, and you wouldn't have to feel that way, that scowl on your face, that sour look? I got to imagine how that conversation would go. And this is what I thought. As soon as I asked the man the question, I could see him just stopping what he's doing and just kneeling down and getting on my level and just talking to me. He's like, "What'd you say, little boy? Say that again? Why don't I know that God is there?" I could just imagine him doing that. And I could imagine his entire countenance changing, because often all we need is a reminder that he's there. And that's what happens, is the moment that we become aware that God is there for us is when he becomes there for us. Well, we can take that looking to God, that first initial, I'm now aware of God, and we can turn it inwards into our hearts, and we can engage with God with that awareness all the time. And how do we do that? We look into our hearts with faith, and we engage with the God who is there. That same looking that you look to him initially with, you can look to him on the inside of your heart, and you can engage with him. And then you can take your eyes off of him and keep your heart open to him and be engaged. Let's just stand still and focus for a moment. Can you sense God is there? You don't have to close your eyes. I'm talking about a looking that happens behind your eyes, an opening of your eyes to him on the inside. Just take your mind off everything else. Take your mind off me. He's very much there. God is open to you. Be open to God. Just open yourself to him. As I said before, the reason you can do this is because Jesus gave his life for you. That's why you have clear and open access to God. You can do it right now. God. How do you engage with God? How do you keep engaging with God? How do you stay in God? You stay aware of him. You stay open to him. He's not going anywhere. You can count on that. You don't have to worry about not being able to connect with him the next time you look. He's not going anywhere, even after you stop engaging with him for the moment. Because we all tend to do that. It'd be better if we could stay engaged with him, but we tend to get distracted. Don't worry about it. He hasn't gone anywhere. With time, you will learn how to stay engaged with him always. Keeping your heart open to him, you see, as you go about your day. Then he becomes a part of your day. Just remember, look to him like you know how, and then stay open to him. He'll interact with you. He'll talk to you. He'll make you feel better. Just look to him, and this will continue for the rest of your life. You don't have to be special. You are special because God makes you special. He'll interact with everyone this way. That's why you're special. He loves everybody the same. The only thing I want to hear from you is, how is this working for you? Come back in a couple days and let us know in the comments, is this working for you? Are you feeling like you're getting to know God? I remember one guy in the comments once said that he spent like 6 hours in a parking lot just focusing on God the way that I was telling him to. And after 6 hours, he was convinced. He said it kept being inspired and, confirmed to him. So this will actually work. I want to hear about it. We all do. Let's build each other up. I want you to be happy, and I want you to know there are others just like you who have the same desire to know God. And I want you to feel accepted in a community of people who believe like you do. What's more wonderful to talk about than this? This is where we can come to talk about God.